Ladies and gentlemen, we have been caught out. The New York Times just posted an article titled, "We want to find the best red light therapy device for pain. Here's why we can't recommend any." This was just posted this week, so on the 22nd of October 2024. And although we have thousands of published studies showing that red light therapy helps with pain and inflammation, in this video, we're going to be figuring out whether that article written by the New York Times trumps all of those clinical studies. So I'm going to jump straight into this article because there's a couple of different points that need addressing. The first one is under the headline where they say the evidence is mixed. So they say, despite thousands of studies, research still lacks definitive answers on whether red light therapy alleviates pain. Some studies show a benefit, others do not. Now, this is absolutely true. When you are studying anything in a large scale, some studies will show you one result and others will not. What you have to do then is group that information together and see if there's 100 studies and 95 of them say something works and then 5 of them say it doesn't, it's more than likely that that thing works. Any medical drug that is studied has the same thing happen, where there will be isolated studies that show that the product doesn't work. But what you have to do is look at the majority of the information. Now, they go on further to say, to truly show that red light therapy works, we would need evidence from large clinical trials comparing the treatment with a placebo, a fake device, for example. Now, this is something that happens in the clinical trials all the time, but the way that research works is you don't always have to conduct one massive clinical trial. What happens is you do specific clinical trials on, let's say, joint pain and red light therapy, and if you have 50 participants in your study, you are then put into the pool of scientific information where we now have one study that has 50 people. Now, the highest form of evidence in the scientific research is a systematic review. This is where you group a bunch of clinical trials together, you put all of the data together, and maybe you have 10 different clinical trials, but now you have 1,000 participants. And if all of those are studying or investigating the same topic, you can then put all that information together and get a much clearer idea of whether or not something is effective. Now, what's interesting is in this article, they do reference a review. And when I first read this, I thought, okay, New York Times, we're going to be friends. What it says is, in a 2022 review of red light research published in the European Journal of Physical and Rehabilitation Medicine, Demchuk and colleagues reported evidence to suggest that red light therapy using LEDs or lasers helped against some type of muscle and joint pain, such as neck pain, osteoarthritis, and fibromyalgia. Great, sounds like we're on the same page here. Until the next paragraph. But the group didn't find strong evidence that red light therapy worked against some other common aches, such as lower back pain. We were doing so well. You went ahead and told people that they could use red light therapy for joint pain, neck pain, osteoarthritis, even fibromyalgia. But then you had to go and tell people with back pain that red light therapy wouldn't work. So here's another review. This study is titled Low-Level Laser Therapy for Chronic Non-Specific Low Back Pain, a meta-analysis of randomized control trials. And in this, they included 15 clinical trials involving over 1,000 participants, and at immediate and short-term follow-up, there was significant pain reduction. Now, let's say even after that, you still want to get yourself a red light therapy device. Let's look at the recommendations that they're giving in this article. So they're saying it should be tailored for your source of pain. So they say it comes in many configurations, but they end up recommending using something that conforms to your body. Now, I've done a previous video and I'll link above over here to it, but I'm not a fan at all of the flexible red light therapy products. Although they appear more convenient because you can just wrap them around you, in order to deliver clinical grade light, you need to have other components in the product, things like drivers and even cooling fans, so that the LEDs can deliver a high enough light intensity and clinical grade light that will actually get you the benefits seen in these studies. So flexible products for me are already written off. They end up giving a recommendation. So further below that, they say examples include knee-shaped wraps. You can click on that link. It takes you to an Amazon product. I went and had a look at that product, and you go through that page. There is no mention of light intensity. So even in their recommendations, they're giving you a product that isn't giving you full transparency, doesn't tell you the light intensity. And as I said, any flexible product, I already have my questions whether or not they'll be strong enough. And if I see a flexible product, the first thing I'm looking for is light intensity. The one they recommend there has no disclosure of what the light intensity is, and I would hazard a guess it's not going to be strong enough to get to any joint-related issues. Now, there's a few other points in what to look for in a red light therapy device. I don't disagree with all of these. So I'm going to quickly cover them, and I actually want to end on a high note and say something that I really agree with them in this article. But the next one they say is it offers multiple wavelengths. I completely agree. If you want to get the most benefits from red light therapy, you want a device that gives you both red and near-infrared light. What they don't mention is anything around light intensity. They then say it should include features for safety and convenience. So now they're talking about auto-off features, and in my experience, most people are pretty smart. If you give them a light and there's a switch on it, and they know how to switch it on, they also tend to know how to switch it off. So if you know you need to be in front of that device for 8 minutes and there's only going to be any overdosing effects at 50 minutes, chances are people are smart enough to turn off their red light therapy device before it gets to that point. The next thing they say is that it shouldn't be too expensive. Now, I agree with this on so many products, especially health-related ones that are out there. There's a lot of things that are completely overpriced. But when you look at the red light therapy space, there is so much junk out there. There's so many cheaper products that don't match up to the clinical trial specifications. And if you're telling people that you should look for a product that isn't too expensive, there's a very high chance they're going to get something that is a fancy party light. It's not going to actually deliver the same results that is seen in the clinical studies. So while I'm not saying spend $10,000 on a little LED wand, and I've seen products like that, you do need to put some kind of investment into a high quality red light therapy device. Now, price isn't the only indication. You can spend a lot of money and get the wrong product. So you need to make sure that you actually know what to look for in a high quality red light therapy device. I'll leave a link above here where I've discussed what markers you should look for in a red light therapy device, and that covers the light intensity, wavelength, EMF in more details so that you know how to choose a device. But the last thing that they say, and I think this is a really great one, is they say what to look out for. And the thing they mention there is whether the product claims it is FDA approved. Now, in the red light therapy space, you're not actually allowed to say that your product is FDA approved. All the mitochondria products that I work with, they are made in an FDA registered facility. You are allowed to say that, but you cannot say that your product is FDA approved. Another very important thing is that just because something is made in an FDA registered facility doesn't actually mean a lot. So we have our products as listed as FDA registered, but it doesn't actually give you a full picture. I can show you products that are complete garbage that are also made in an FDA registered facility. There's no guidelines on the light intensity, the wavelength, or EMFs. When you join this program, essentially you just have to pay money in order to register yourself. But an FDA approved or even an FDA registered product doesn't tell you much because it doesn't give any specific, there's no specific criteria that make that product stand out from the other ones. So I agree with them on the FDA approved and FDA registered aspect of things. And I think one of the things that they have brought up is the conversation that there are a lot of junk products out there. They haven't dived deep enough into what to look for in a high quality red light therapy device. And I also feel that they've given some recommendations there that probably shouldn't even be considered. But if you want to make sure that you do find yourself a red light therapy product that works and you don't waste your money on the wrong product, then again, make sure to check out that video on what to look for in a high quality red light therapy device. If you guys enjoyed today's video, please let me know. I don't normally cover news articles, but if this is something that interests you, please let me know in the comments section below. If you have any questions, then also drop them down below. Otherwise, I hope that you have a great day further, and we'll chat again soon. Cheers.